Social media platform Twitter has confirmed that it has removed several fake spam accounts from alleged African Americans that try to push black people into abandoning the Democratic Party. So now the company recently removed two fake accounts and deleted the accounts of a San Diego man who just spammed the platform with pro-Trump messages. Now the fake accounts were purported to be run by black people whose viral tweets had actually received tens of thousands of shares, retweets, or likes in the past month. One of the accounts, at Went Dem to Rep, logged over 11,000 retweets on a single tweet that claimed the user was a lifelong Democrat who was pushed to vote Republican by Black Lives Matter. That tweet was posted shortly after the account was created, and so it's a little suspicious when that happens. Now, the Went Dem to Rep account also tagged two other accounts in a reply at Peter Gammo and KRon699, which were then suspended at the same time earlier this week. Now, the Twitter spokesman said all three accounts were suspended for spam and artificially manipulative behavior. So now, what about these accounts was bad? What warranted their removal, right? Well, apparently, the fake accounts used images of black men for their profile pictures and had 5 separate posts with at least 10,000 retweets, which tends to indicate some bottish activity. So, for example, the profile picture from Went Dem to Rep was stolen from the Instagram page of Nellis Joustra, a model who worked to get the fake account deleted. Joustra said, "I called my mom and asked her what to do because I was stressing out. The only thing I could do was report the account and tweet some tweets to tell people that I'm not the person who owns the account and they're using me on the profile picture without my consent." So this is part of what conservatives are doing, right? So they create fake accounts, fake bots, use pictures from African Americans to try to convince people to vote for Donald Trump, specifically black people to vote for Donald Trump, or just to get them to not vote at all, right? It's a little bit of a concerted effort, right? There's some astroturfing going on, okay? So now the other accounts that were busted also had a similar deal. KRon619, which was also suspended for spam, claimed in a tweet to be a Dem my whole life before he left the Democrats last month. So now let me show you that tweet here. So probably before I was born, again, voter fraud right there. There's the allegation. I left the Dem because it's the Dems that are racist and inconsistent. Patriots are the most consistent Americans. And then, of course, implies that Democrats can't be patriotic. Well, that's weird, right? So you saw how many times that was retweeted. Other posts from July implored black and browns and whites to leave the Democratic Party. That got over 6,700 retweets. And another urging blacks and whites to not let the Democrat media and the communist rioters divide us. And that was retweeted a great number of times. Now, that other Twitter account that was tagged was Peter Gammo. Peter Gammo is a Turkish-American man from San Diego. Beyond posting his own tweets, the KRon619 account also repeatedly retweeted Gammo's account. When reached by phone, he said, "I didn't know anything about it. I mean, I know the guy who runs the KRon619. I met him on Twitter, but I don't run that account. No. That's not mine." He said he had an idea why his account was deleted, but he would not elaborate. He said he was not connected to either KRon619 or Went Dem to Rep. He has 17,000 followers, and his posts most recently focused on pro-Trump messages about the election and video from Black Lives Matter protests. Posts viewed by NBC News from Went Dem to Rep and KRon619 were copied and pasted and separately tweeted hundreds of times by other accounts that were created this month, claiming to be those of African Americans. And so you can see what they're doing here, right? There's a bot farm with lots of copy pasta going on. Okay. And so that, of course, suggests that it's coordinated. Pro-Trump groups, conservatives have been doing this for some time. They employ bot farms and troll farms to use against people like Black Lives Matter. And look, that said, it ain't just Trump supporters that are using it. No, there's a couple of establishment Democrats also that got caught doing this, and yet somehow are still on Twitter, which is amazing. So let me go to that, right? So you guys, I don't know if you're familiar with Sally Albright. So she's a establishment Democrat 101. Okay. And she was caught back in 2016 using a network of bots, stealing people's pictures and using them for accounts that would then retweet her messages that were anti Bernie Sanders, anti progressive. There was even an expose in Huffington Post about it. And she's not the only one. There's also David Brock. David Brock is a former Republican and a smear merchant that switched over to the Democratic side to become an establishment Democrat, right? He was also caught back again in 2016 spending $1 million on a troll army to go after Bernie Sanders supporters. So understand, right? We've got conservatives everywhere. Conservatives in the Democratic Party, conservatives over in the Republican Party that are using bots and trolls to attack the left. That's a big problem on social media. Okay. And I actually do agree that they should work on stopping that. I mean, it's a good step. There's a lot of issues with, social media, with reporting accounts. And before some idiot comes in and says, well, that's free speech, how dare you remove accounts? Twitter's a private company. Facebook's a private company. They don't have to respect your First Amendment rights because they're not the government. The only way to get by that is actually to nationalize Twitter and Facebook, which is an idea that I'd be open to, so that you can get full protections from being removed by the government. But since we don't have that, it looks like if you violate their terms of service by being racist, misogynistic, or whatever, or running bot networks and faking, not only faking followers, but also just faking other accounts and running them, well, then yeah, your ass is going to get removed. And I don't have any issue with that. And because that's not part of your quote unquote free speech. And so again, we do need to do something about it. It is a good step removing some of these accounts, but I think that more needs to be done to kind of crack down on these bot networks that will try to influence people in elections. It should be classified as a public utility. Agreed. Of course, good luck getting Twitter and Facebook to agree with that.